Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Welcome Grove Homestead. It is a rather dreary looking morning today. We have got some storm warnings that have been blowing through. We actually barely missed getting hailed on this morning, but now it's going to lightly sprinkle. So I am now getting the goats milked a little late this morning because of those hail warnings. I just decided to huddle up in the house until the threat had passed. And then, of course, blew over us without hailing. But so now I'm out here milking a little bit late. But Miss Claire is getting quite large. That girl is due to calve. Her due date is actually on Saturday, and today is Tuesday, so I'm not sure she's gonna make it all the way based on just how huge her udder is getting. But we'll take a look at her once we're done milking the goats. See how she's doing. I've been locking her up at night, so we'll let her out to graze throughout the day if she has no impending signs of baby. So things have gotten a little crazy around here. We had I'll call it a minor disaster. We actually had a breakout of Coccidia in our brooder, and it was not good. So what happened is that I have never had an issue before with Coccidia or coccidiosis in my chicken brooders before, and a while back I showed you guys that I got these Chimani chicks as well as a couple of blue lace red Wyandottes, and everything was fine. We were hatching out our new little baby chicks. All was well with the world. But then the Chimanis started dying, and I was completely confused as to what was happening because they were just wasting away. They stopped eating, and but their poop looked normal, so I didn't suspect coccidiosis because typical presentation tells you they should have bloody poop. They didn't have that, and they just whittled away, and I was trying to figure it out. I couldn't get them to eat until one morning our brooder with the smaller chicks, the Brahmas, as well as our barred rock 4-H birds, they showed up with bloody stool and a couple of dead barred rock chicks. And I instantly knew it's Coccidia because they've got the bloody poop. Of course, then I did a little more research, and coccidiosis doesn't always present with bloody stool. So I had been dealing with these ill birds, unable to fix what their problem was, and now it's rampant because it's been going on long enough that I don't know what's going on. So we started losing birds. Of course, we treated as soon as we knew what it was, but by then you're a little too late for some of them. So ultimately we lost all the Chimanis and one of the Wyandottes. So we have one blue lace red Wyandotte left, and I'll have to do another head count of the other chicks, but I know that throughout the whole process we lost 3 Brahmas. So I believe we should have 15 Brahmas. I don't know how many barred rocks we lost because those ones were dying a lot. I don't know why they were more fragile than our Brahmas. They were hatchery birds, but I know we still have more than 10, but it may not be very many more than 10. So we'll have to get another head count on them, see how they're doing. But we got them treated. You still lose a few more after treatment just because they're so far gone and they're so weak. But that's not the only thing that got hit with Coccidia. It turns out that our dear rabbit buck, Arthur, also got coccidiosis, and we treated him. We treated all the rabbits just to be safe, because Coccidia is not species specific, and chickens can in fact get rabbits sick with it, and because you've got the same people taking care of multiple animals, cross-contamination happened. So Arthur got sick, and we treated him, but his diarrhea cleared up, but he just wasn't himself. He kind of went off feed. He started losing weight. Arthur ended up with a complication from the coccidiosis, and that is called GI stasis, which is gastrointestinal stasis, which means that his digestive system basically stopped working. Rabbits are very, very sensitive creatures digestively. They are kind of similar to a ruminant, like a goat or a cow, in that they need to be eating all the time. And when they go off feed, it can actually be really detrimental to their health beyond whatever caused them to go off feed. And I got some advice from the lady I originally got my rabbits from, trying to help him. I was treating him multiple times a day with baby gas drops, giving him parsley, things to try and help heal his gut. But then he started passing mucus in his stool, which told me that he was shedding his intestinal lining, which is never a good sign. So I knew that he was not going to make it. Or at least I hoped that he would, but I didn't have a whole lot of hope. And sure enough, a couple of days later, poor Arthur did in fact pass away, despite all of the effort and the treatment. And that was a heavy hit. Arthur and Guinevere were my first two rabbits, and now they're both gone. Arthur was a large buck too. He threw wonderful kids, and so it's a really big loss to the rabbitry to lose your best buck. I knew pretty much right away that I was going to need to replace him, because we have Merlin, and Merlin, he's a beautiful color, but he just doesn't have the size that I was really hoping for. So we're on the prowl for a new buck. But we did get a new doe. A while back, a friend of ours gave us a free rabbit, and I said, well, let's breed her and see if she makes good meat mutts. She's not a Rex, but maybe she'll make good meat mutts, and they'll be great for the freezer. They're not impressive. The babies are smaller than the pure standard Rex, so I'm just not really happy with her as a meat mutt breeder. And she also doesn't have a great personality to try and rehome. She's a little aggressive. She was very aggressive when she had babies. She bit, and that's just that kind of behavior just doesn't have a place on our farm. And rather than make her someone else's problem, we're going to go ahead and send her to the Rabbit Rehabilitation Center, which is the Crock-Pot. So with Barbara, the rabbit, leaving us, I said, well, I need a replacement doe to take her place in the cage, because there's not much point in having an empty doe cage. And Nimue couldn't move up into it because she can't live on wire bottom cages. She has to live on a regular cage floor. So I put some feelers out, came across a breeder who has pedigreed standard Rex. She had this really nice looking doe. Her sister was actually retained for show, and I went ahead and grabbed her up because she's going to be a fairly good sized doe. Means that she should make some good sized kids. She's lovely. So So let's go take a look at our new rabbit doe, Morgana. So here she is, Morgana. She's only a few months old, so she still has a lot of growing to do. But her color is called a black otter. So she's black on the top, and as she matures, her belly fur is going to turn a nice bright tan. So she's a beautiful rabbit. She's definitely still got some growing to do, but she's well on the track to being a nice sized doe. Miss Morgana here officially takes the title as our fanciest rabbit, I guess. And that's just because she's pedigreed and has tattooed ears. She should make a really nice breeder doe for us. And we're just gonna work on handling her so that she stays this nice and calm and sweet, even when she's a great big giant doe. Alright, now before I let Miss Clover off the stand to milk the next goat, look at how shiny she is. She looks fantastic. So healthy, shiny. She's incredibly soft. I'm really, really pleased with how well she has filled out for summertime. Betsy, on the other hand, we are still working on her. She's making progress, but it's very slow. But she's finally got some padding on her short ribs here. Her hair is still a little rough, but it's starting to grow in some new stuff. She's just taking forever to get up to snuff. Now, I did recently worm these goats. It's actually about time for us to do their follow-up fecals. I think that I have essentially given up on the herbal dewormers. They're just not enough in this climate. It's been getting ridiculous, and I've been also advising another person who has goats. She was newer to them, but she was also doing herbal dewormers, and her goats have some of the worst worm loads I've ever seen. So I think it's just too wet here for me to effectively really herbally deworm. We've been struggling with barber pole, and I finally I ran fecals, and I only had like 2 goats that I didn't need to worm. And it's like, well, then why am I wasting my money on these herbal wormers if they're not working? So I went ahead and chemically wormed them, and Miss Clover here, her fecal was clear, but she was really pale in her mucous membranes in her eye. And so, of course, that doesn't mean that they don't have worms when they have a clear fecal. It just means that the worms aren't laying eggs. And I was really skeptical. I wasn't sure about it, but I wormed her anyway because of how pale her eyes were. And she started pinking up really soon after that, and she's been doing great. So for me anyway, of course I would much rather do herbal dewormers, but if they're not working and I have to shell out a fortune, it's just not worth it. So I don't love having to use chemical dewormers, but if they work and I have a healthy goat at the end of it, it's better than limping them along on these herbal wormers that just aren't effectively killing the worms. Alright, so we got the milking done. We're gonna go check on Miss Claire. Now, I actually had a farrier come out and trim her feet, her front feet, last week because they were getting really overgrown in the front. I was worried that one of them was even gonna break, and the toe on one side was getting longer than the other. And I'm just not confident enough to do that myself. So I called the farrier, and she was very well behaved. She did great for him. But now her feet look really good. She's ready to have her baby. She had a little pregnancy pedicure. Good morning, Claire. Goodness, your udder is quite full. Well, let's do your morning checks before we let you out. All right, lovely lady. You are absolutely enormous. Your udder is so big and full. Don't eat my microphone. The pins are definitely loose. I wouldn't say they're gone, but they're loose. mama, that is so big. She's actually dripping milk on her front right quarter this morning. Ooh, it's so full. You're so close. I'd say maybe tomorrow. So big. So I now feel like the bulk of my life has boiled down to just taking pictures of the business end of a cow and sending them to a friend of mine who knows more about this. She runs a Jersey dairy, so she's able to kind of help me predict how soon it's going to be. But yeah, every day I come out and I take pictures of her udder and all her business end. But I don't remember if I told you guys this, but poor Miss Claire was bitten on the rear end by most likely a dog a while back, and that's been healing. It was really ugly. It was really, really bad to look at. She healed mostly on her own. We just kept it clean, put salve on it, but it's not all the way healed. So unfortunately, I'm pretty sure that she's gonna tear when she has this calf, but I don't think it'll be too terrible, and I think it should heal up just fine. But oh my goodness, we are getting so close with this lady. We're already trying to come up with names for the calf. If it's a heifer, then we are thinking about keeping her and keeping her around as another milk cow. If it's a bull calf, then, well, he'll end up being steered and probably raised up for beef. But she is looking pretty miserable. Poor Claire. All right, dear sweet Claire. I'm gonna check on you in a few hours. Enjoy your time. So in preparation for this calf coming in the next handful of days probably, we are going to be setting up our goat nursery for the calf. Now, I do not plan on dam raising this calf for a couple of reasons. Reason number one is infrastructure. I just flat don't have the setup for whenever that calf would be ready for weaning to separate it from Claire. They can be really driven to get to each other when they have that strong bond. And I just flat don't have the infrastructure set up to be able to separate a calf when it needs to be weaned. Reason number two is that I've been doing a lot of research, and many people say that they have chosen not to dam raise their calves because they are very difficult, very hard on the cow's teats. It doesn't matter as much with a beef cow when she's raising her calf. It beats up her udder. It matters a lot more when you're milking that cow if she has very sore, sensitive teats. Jerseys especially are famous for, they will take all sorts of abuse from a calf, and they'll have really, really messed up teats from an avid, aggressive nursing calf. Even though it's going to be more work, I think that it's going to be better probably in the long run for our current setup if we were to bottle feed the calf and then train it to eat milk from a bucket. That way we can handle the calf a lot. I know that unless you're out there, just like with our dam raised goats, you have to get out there and handle that baby. It's a lot harder to do when they are out in a massive pasture versus in a much smaller pen area. So I think that our best option with this calf is going to be to separate. All right, we finally got this nursery all cleaned up. It's bedded, it's ready to go, ready to receive Claire's baby. So excited. It looks like today might be the day. Of course, she may just decide to pull a fast one on us and not have it, but all signs kind of point to it being today. On that very exciting note, we're gonna go ahead and call it a day here. Thank you so much for joining me here. As always, this is your country nerd with a goat herd saying that you can grow where you're planted.